So, ladies and gentlemen, we move on now to our next session for the morning, where we'll be measuring the return on investment of AI on optimization and personalization. So through AI personalization, marketers can not only deploy a greater variety of more customized messages, but they ensure that these messages are served to the right audiences and ultimately improve lift and sales. And I'd like to welcome to the stage now Rohit Dadwal, MMA CEO APAC and Global Head of Smarties, to talk about this in more detail. So please put your hands together, everybody, for Rohit. Thank you, Rohit.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, that's more like it. Thank you for having me here. It's my first time in the kingdom. I was very pleasantly surprised. I was a little bit fearful when I was traveling here because of the heat, 44 degrees, 45 degrees. But let me tell you, I actually went for a walk yesterday evening. I didn't feel that much. And I actually went for a walk today morning. And it was relatively pleasant. And I'll give you the context why I say that. I come from a city which is Singapore. The humidity level there is 80%. So when you walk for 40 minutes in 30 degrees, you sweat. And I didn't. So just a small anecdote that I've been enjoying the walks in the city. It's a lovely place. Thank you for having me here. I'm going to talk to you about some of the aspects that the esteemed panel spoke about. But I'm going to pick only one aspect of that is personalization. And I think at the various stages in the panel discussion, there was talk about how you can make it personal. The question that was asked also, how does it matter? And I think one of the things that we all need to understand is it cannot solve everything for you if you don't know what you want it to solve for you. That is very important. And there is a lot in AI that is happening. But we need to understand what part of that AI we want to utilize. And I'll start with a short video, and I'll give you a context of what this video is after it's done. So watch this video, watch it carefully. Has anybody seen this video before, the attention test? Sorry? Okay. Can we have the volume, please?
Design of the new Skoda Fabia actually steals. We left one parked on this ordinary road in West London. We wanted to see if its sharp crystalline shapes, bold lines and lower, wider profile would attract the desired level of attention. Will the 17-inch black alloy wheels stop passers-by in their tracks? Will the angular headlights attract the attention of other road users? Will a crowd gather to check out its fresh, sporty look? Well, not quite. But did the attention-stealing design distract you from noticing that the entire street has been changing right before your very eyes? Don't believe us? Have another look. Did you spot the van changing to a taxi? How about the scooter changing to a pair of bicycles? Or the lady holding a pig? Let alone the fact that the entire street is now completely different. Didn't think so. So there we have it. Proof that the new...
Has anybody seen this? No. How many of you actually realized that the street changed? Nobody, right? One. The entire street, all aspects of the street? Just the roof. Anybody else? No. And I'll tell you why I like to play this video. We keep talking about AI. It's happening all around us. It's similar, the analogy is similar to this video. It is changing, everything is changing. But we need to focus and keep our eyes on what we want to do. In this case, the eyes were on that car, which was the message. And we were just trying to gauge that. But don't be so focused within that you miss the opportunity of AI that is in front of you. And that's what I'm going to present today. The opportunity is very compelling. It's the adoption of the opportunity that we need to, or you need to look at and start to optimize that for your own personal benefit. Melis spoke about MMA, gave you a context of what all we do. We work for attribution, data. We basically are working to help solve the future of advertising. We truly believe, and I'd like to talk about it in smaller groups, maybe here also, that we are helping save marketing from marketeers. There is so much change that's happening. AdTech, MarTech, AI, Metaverse, NFTs. How do you keep pace with it? And there has to be somebody who's helping do that, put the structure, put the framework, put the methodologies around it. And at MMA, that's our sole purpose, helping work towards what the future of advertising would be. Within that, one of the things that we are now focused on for the last 12 months, almost around the same time when ChatGPT happened, and AI, as the panel said, has been happening for, or machine learning for about 10 years or more. But it's only because of ChatGPT it came to the forefront. Everybody started exploring it. We at MMA have been doing this. We've actually created a council. There are about 280 members in this council, from Fortune 500 companies to smaller companies in different markets around the world. And our focus is to actually help build communities to understand what that change is going to be. We are also doing a lot of research on customer experience, generative AI, digital transformation, and so on and so forth. And we've launched a fair amount of white papers, case studies, frameworks, methodologies, which we truly believe people or the industry needs to be aware of so that they can start to look at what the opportunity is. And along with that, as is the case with every new technology, there is a fair amount of learning that needs to happen. So we have some training, AI skill sets, training specific in the advertising and marketing field. We have a list of webinars that you all can access. Most of this information is available on MMA Global. Some of it is behind the wall garden, which is only for members. But if you're not a member, great opportunity to be one. And this presentation will be shared with you, so you don't really need to make notes of these links. A lot of this research is available. One of the pieces that we started doing was Consortium for AI Personalization. As I said at the very beginning, there is a lot happening, but you need to solve for one thing at a time. What we decided, the lowest hanging fruit and the most common applied use of AI is personalization today. And everybody needs to do it. It started 20 years back with chatbots. It started with SMS marketing and so on and so forth. It's personalization. And that's what advertising is all about. Holy grail of advertising is if you can deliver the right message to the right audience at the right time with the right content. That's advertising. So personalization for us was important. We've done a lot of these initiatives, have papers, documents, etc. We also have a podcast on AI. So if you are interested to learn a little bit more about it, you can log on to MMA Global and do that. So this is my favorite quote. This is my own quote, so I take pride in saying this. AI will never replace you. The person using AI might. And I'm actually very excited that last week, Ted Sandros, the co-CEO of Netflix, actually also said the same thing. I wish he had given me some credit for this, but maybe I'll ping him for it separately. So what that means is, AI is your ally, is your intern, is your colleague. That's the way to perceive AI. It's not a product. If you look at it from a pure product perspective, you will have to build your own products. So with that, I just wanted to get to the next phase, which is the case study. So we've done the personalization case study. We've built the framework. We've spent a few $1 million building the methodology around it, and it's now available for the industry to use. What I'm going to share with you are a few case studies of how, if rightly used, personalization at scale can actually yield a lot better results on an existing marketing or advertising campaign that you may have. So the first point is nothing changes from what you are doing today. I want to keep it very simple and set the context. Whatever marketing campaign, if Saudi tourism is doing a campaign for 3 months, trying to target a certain audience and so on, it can happen the way it is. If Hyatt Regency is inviting people for a particular promotion, it can go on like it is. What you need to look at and keep in mind is you need to apply an AI layer within that. And if you can do that, it can enhance the value of your advertising and marketing campaign. So this is simple maths, and I'm going to give this as the context. So this is A/B testing. Imagine A is a single creative and B is another creative. You do A/B testing, you realize B yields better result by 20%. You will obviously adopt creative B. Means you've got a 20% yield on your creative. Now, if we were to subdivide that into a journal population and divide it into cohorts of male and female, and females, the creative A works and creative B works for males, and the percentage increase is higher, what it automatically means is that there's a 40% yield now. We all do that. We all have done this with DCO, digital creative optimization, programmatic, etc., etc. But all of that has limitation. Where AI plays a role is to remove that limitation and go beyond in real time. So imagine if that was done at different cohort levels. I've just shared the 2 cohort levels with you, A/B testing and journal population testing. And if you can keep doing that over and over again, your yield compared to where you are, maybe in programmatic you are somewhere here right now in the middle, or with DCO, it will enhance that yield. And that is what AI actually presents itself with when added into a particular campaign. So, just to give you a context, if this is the creative set that we have, and these are the audience variations, we all know what audience variation signals cohorts are. And if you were to apply AI to generate different messages for different audiences, which will be measured on what actual data feedback the audience is giving. So if I've served an ad to Laura and it has not generated a response, I should not send that ad to Laura lookalike cohort again. It should change real time. And that's what AI can do for you. And all of a sudden, you are looking at possible 133 million engagement opportunities for 72 creatives. Now, this wasn't possible earlier. There was a very interesting conversation on the panel saying the mundane jobs. That's one extreme. The other extreme is this, that there is humanly or technology-wise nothing that can cater to real-time information and generation and feeding that information to generate 133 million opportunities for the same set of 72 ads. And that's what AI can do. But I also want to caution you, it's not all very hunky-dory. When you start, it is costly. Any new technology adoption is always costly. When the first computer came, it was millions of dollars. Now it's a few $100s in your pocket with 1,000 times more speed and so on and so forth. So when you do adopt AI, be very sure you are going to spend a little bit in the infrastructure and investment. But what is interesting is, as you start to adopt it, and then you add the layers of generative AI, predictive AI, and so on and so forth, it will go the same way the computer technology is gone or any other technology. And you'll see much higher yields with lot more savings in your marketing and advertising campaigns. So, setting the context, everybody is on page, what that broad framework looks like, A/B testing, how yields happen. So I'll share the case studies with you. And across all these case studies, this is a quick highlight of what we've seen. And I'll go into one or two of these case studies specifically. On an average, we've seen 150% yield on existing campaigns. No new money, no change on the media, no change on the publisher technology, no change on the ad tech. But applying AI into that existing campaign, we've seen engagement levels as high as what you have seen on the screen. Now, what that means is that you can actually start to work towards increasing this. The Kroger campaign was actually, people in the room know what Kroger is? Kroger is actually a website selling groceries. They are a retail outfit selling groceries. They launched their new website where they were starting to promote delivery of groceries to homes. And that was the digital KPI. Two things that I want to set context with. All these case studies are done only on the open web, not behind the walled gardens, because the amount of data that we can get from open web is what we can measure very clearly compared to walled garden. Second, all of them have a digital KPI, and you need to be very sure what your KPI is. In this case, because it was a new launch, the KPI was to drive traffic to their new website so that people can start using it. And this was obviously done as an A/B testing. Some states we applied AI, some states in US we didn't apply AI. That's why the context is 259% increase, because we could compare it to some of the other data. So the KPI was drive traffic to e-commerce pages. What we realized is that was 259% higher, but that was not all. There was a better click-through ratio on the ads because the right ad was being served to the right person and so on and so forth. We all know that story. It also yielded 17% more transactions, 16% more revenue, and I'm sure profitability, which they didn't share the numbers with. But if there is more transactions, there's more revenue, I'm sure there's more profitability. It's simple maths, right? So the display creative, there were 3 sets of messages. There were 3 sets of creatives. I'm going to go back to the slide here. There were 3 messages, 3 sets of creatives, and 3 images. And those were then generated again and again in different contexts with different messaging and served again and again. Today, after the success of this campaign, Kroger is actually starting to test a campaign with 512 creatives because they think they can get more targeted, more better yield as they move forward. So that was the KPI on driving traffic. This is ADT. ADT is a security service company which puts cameras outside your houses, offices, etc. And they were trying to generate leads. It's a B2B kind of a model. It's B2C also, D2C also, but more D2D. And their target was to generate leads. Again, they had 3 templates, 3 images, and 3 headlines, which were reclassified into 81 different creatives. And they obviously had the same ML model on time of day, device, so on and so forth. And the objective was to submit that web form. And they got a total of 161% increased web forms or leads, as you would call them. General Motors was a campaign which was a video campaign. They had a new Jeep that was launched, and they were doing video creatives. However, in this particular case, there were only 2 creatives with 3 messages each. So the limitation of the creatives was there, and therefore at the end there were only 15 creatives that could be generated because of the limitation of that. But still, there was a significant lift in the KPI, which is close to about 68%. But this is because this was the smallest set of creatives, and therefore the optimization had to be limited to that set. And then last but not the least, we did with Monday.com. This was an audio campaign that was running across different states. And we realized that they had 3 creative sets. We generated 16. It was 1 line per item. And the impressions that were served was to sign up for Monday.com services. It was again a digital KPI. And what we also realized, apart from what works, which creative worked well, in which cohort, at what point in time, as you can see from here, is the common myth that female voice works better than male voice was also revealed to be not true. Late evenings and early mornings was the male voice that generated the maximum results. But that's not true across all states. There were certain states like Texas where male voice was highly complimented for returns versus New York where it was more of female voice, but not that significant difference. So this is what we know so far. All campaigns are done on open web. Display, video, audio, it can be applied. So the message that I want to leave you guys with is, it can be done on any digital KPI. It can be done on any digital format. But what is important is to make sure that you apply it. Apply it to your existing campaign. And I'm going to share with you in the next segment how easy it is and what you should be looking at it. So how do you leverage this opportunity? As I said at the beginning, it can work for any campaign that you have, any digital campaign that you have, as long as it runs on open web. What is most important to see is, and some of the people who understand the way the ad serving technology works, it's right there for you to see. It is an enhancement of a DCO, digital creative optimization. But one very clear line item that I want to clarify. We have now figured out for an AI-based campaign for personalization, a minimum scale of 30 to 50 million impressions need to be there for that marketing campaign. And I'll tell you why. As you all know, AI is a machine. It's a tool. It needs to learn. If you don't feed it the right information, it will not give you the right results. So the first 10% of impressions actually don't generate that kind of yield because the AI model is still learning which ad to be served to who at what time and so on and so forth. So that's AI driving performance. 10% of the randomized ads that are generated in the first, in the campaign, the delivery of the content is not high. In fact, you can deem it to be AI is turned off. And then the optimization starts to kick in. And that's why we say minimum of 30 to 40 million impressions, and then the benefit starts to come for a particular campaign. Again, this is something that the panel touched upon, so I'm not going to talk more about it. But the methodology is simple. You just need to have the creative agency give the creatives, the content, the message, etc. Put it into the tool. We have 2 partners. So I'll step back for a second. MMAs build the methodology. We have the framework. We have the policy of how it should work. We are not a technology provider. We figured out 2 such technology providers today. One is Claritas and one was Factor AI, which actually after the first few campaigns was bought by Claritas. And they have the technology. It doesn't mean that they are the only 2 who are doing it. There are others who can also do it. There may be somebody in the kingdom who may actually be starting to look at AI and doing that Uh, the methodology is there, you can use it. For people in the room who are from technology enablers, you can also do it. You can enable it in your market. But today we work with those two partners to make this happen. And the content in this General Motors case, you will see the biggest yield was for the purple color car that happened and the kind of messages that went around with it. And so there is a real-time information, real-time dashboard. I've already spoken about it, the 40 million impressions, 75 variations is an ideal mix that we've figured out so far. Now, can this mix be smaller for smaller campaigns? Maybe. But the yield expectations also need to be curtailed for that. It will obviously not be high. But what we are very interested to see is when we are going to do the Kroger campaign for 80 million impressions and 512 creatives, will 259% yield drop or increase? We believe it will increase, not just drop. And what I started off at the earlier part of my presentation is your existing ad server technology, your existing campaign, all that it needs is a technology provider like Claritas to give their tags, which gets embedded into the ad server technology. That is it. It is as simple as that to start doing AI within your campaign today, if you would want to do it. It's not rocket science. Though I was disappointed yesterday when the Boeing launch was cancelled 3 minutes, 51 seconds before launch, but that also happens. So in this case, you can see the real-time data, all the dashboard, which creative is working, when it is working, how it is working, which cohort is it working on. And I actually also have a demo. I've put the link of the demo. You guys can click on the demo and go through the demo for the General Motors and Kroger and see what kind of results, which creative was working at what time of the day and why it changed and what messages changed and so on and so forth. So just to recap this, it is easy. The creative variation is key. More creatives means more engagement opportunities, a minimum value of 40 million impressions. You will also be able to figure out how high frequency KPI will be optimized, because frequency cap is one of the big challenges that we've all been struggling with. And obviously larger audiences will yield large results. Existing media, it just needs an integration of a JavaScript. Creative, HTML5 editor, audio, video, etc. Whatever you need can be generated, can be provided by the creative agency or the tech agency or the media agency, whoever is doing that for them. And it has a full dashboard where measurement is being showcased in real time. So AI is a journey. You have to start. It is simple. The point of the presentation today is it's not difficult. Your existing campaign can be AI enabled. You just have to have the decision and the commitment to make that happen. But once you do it, you need to continuously doing it. Because as I said, the costs are slightly higher at the beginning. If you do that continuously, your infrastructure cost will keep on getting divided half by 1/4 to 1/10 to etc. And therefore, the yield and the optimization will start to become better. So that was my presentation. That was the case study that I wanted to share. If you guys want to engage with us, please do let us know. But I will leave you with one thought at the end of this presentation, as I did with the beginning of the presentation. I always like to do that, is with this picture. How many of you in the room know what this is? Any guesses? It's one of the world's most famous tourist destinations. Let me give you a hint. No? Wow. That's a little surprising. It's actually the Amazon Delta. It is two rivers which come together and make the big Amazon, Rio Solimões and Rio Negro. When they two come and merge, they flow side by side for 8 to 10 kilometers, and they don't merge at the confluence. They flow side by side. And just on that picture, that city there is the biggest destination within Brazil from a tourist perspective who come to see this influence. And why that happens? Because Rio Solimnas has a temperature of 26 degrees, flows at a 4 kilometer per hour speed, has mud in it. However, Negro has a temperature of 22 degrees, flows at a 7 kilometer speed, doesn't have too much of the Amazon salt and mud into it, and therefore it strives to draw parallelly to each other for a very long period before it finally merges, the temperatures merge. And the reason I like this analogy, it's actually called the meeting of waters. This picture is actually called the meeting of the water. And I look at it in this manner. AI is there, it's going to be there, it will be there. It is going to happen along with the existing technology. It will run parallel to whatever you are doing before AI becomes the technology. And you need to start adopting it and be cognizant of the fact that it is going to happen alongside what you are doing. It's not an either or scenario. It has to integrate into whatever you're doing. You cannot say, I will do AI and not do this. That's not the case. You have to adopt it with whatever you are doing. So please get connected with MMA if you want to get involved. Pick an ad campaign. We are more than happy to test it in the kingdom if you would like, with any campaign that you would like, and hopefully show some results in this part of the world as we've done in US. We are doing it in UK and some other countries. So thank you so much for your time. And if anybody has any questions, I am around. I'll be around at the coffee break, and I am around later at the Smarties Gala Awards also. So thank you so much.